Have you got a little thing that says, I'm happy to be recorded?
Yeah.
So just press that, and I'm going to put you on mute. Is that okay? If Alan comes to you in between, I'll unmute you. You'll be able to hear him and me. So what's happening now, Jake, is, and everybody else, is that Alan's starting to go down that tube in his mind's eye. So it's a bit like your consciousness. It's taking your consciousness down to that space and allowing yourself to be, and then the spirit, and you may see Alan's face change slightly. You may see all sorts of things. You may not see them, depending on what happens, because we never know what's going to happen, and we never know who's going to come forward. But there's somebody there, because I can to be very careful, because one of his characters goes boo and scares the living daylights out of people. Spirit don't lose their sense of humour just because they're on the other side. If they were miserable bees on the other side, there'll be miserable bees on this side when they come through. Somebody asked me recently, do spirits sit on clouds and pluck harps? No, they don't. And there's no one door for any religion. It is you have to go in with the great unwashed, and then you go to the job centre, get yourself a job. It's a bit like here, really, except there's no pain, there's no income tax, there's no problem with heating and lighting, and you don't need to eat. You can be as slim as you like. Good evening, friend. So this is what I think sometimes people call the blending bit. We blend us with them, and they blend with our physical. It takes a lot for a spirit to blend with the physical of a human, and they've spent a lot of time, especially with the people that work with Alan, creating that ectoplasmic little voice box so that they can put their voice into that little box, so that we can hear different voices. Good evening.
Why are you gabbling of woman?
Well, Chief, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
I'm not a chief. It's very nice to see you all and meet you all.
Good evening.
Now, do you know who I am?
I do, sir.
And who am I?
Well, you're an eminent character from the spiritualist world.
Well, tell me the name that you believe me to be.
I believe you to be the Great Honourable.
Great Honourable who?
I believe you to be the Great Honourable Arthur.
Arthur who?
Well, if I told everybody all the secrets...
There's no secrets within the world of the spirit, as you know. So well, who do you think I am?
I think you're Arthur Finley.
Well, then your correction is very corrected.
So, sir, would you like to address us?
On what?
On any subject that you wish.
long as you don't start talking, madam,
Certainly,
and
sir.
blabbing on, and stop calling me sir. You may call me by my name.
Thank you.
It has been many, many years. In fact, a long time. So the transition to spirit is what? You ask yourself, because once you are dead, are you dead? No, you're not. You may have been famous in your world, but in the spirit world, you're not famous at all. You are who you are. You are born the person that you are to be, and you remain the person you are to be. Fame comes with knowledge, knowledge comes with wisdom, and wisdom comes with teaching, and teaching comes with helping others. And you can be of a learning age of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but you are still of a learning capacity, even at that age, to grow up and to know great things that not very many people in your world know about. Book writing, sign writing, or pictures is all part of the nurture of the spirit that works with you to help you grow and prosper and share the work of the spirit with no ego. It is people in your world that make the ego a fantastic thing, but for the human being, for the spirit being, there is no ego. So whatever I was in your world, which I'm grateful for, and I'm still grateful for now in the spirit world, but I'm no one special. I'm just plain me and no one different. And I'm sure as I've written books and books and endless books over the years, so might all of you in time to come. You will find that your own philosophy, your own writing will actually help some people, if not a lot of people, if not thousands of people. It depends how you lead your life and how you rule your life on the right road and not the wrong road. The wrong road to me is always a road of fraudulence. And we don't need no finger pointing or finger wagging because we are pretending to be something we are not, or pretending to know that we don't know. We have to be who we are and to share the goodwill and the sense of spirit at all occasions, not just when it arises. Now, I don't know how many of you would have read my work or read the books, or if they know who I am. If not, I'm sure the woman will tell you. Are you still there, madam?
Yes, I'm still here, sir.
Would you like to explain?
So Arthur wrote many books, many spiritual books on all sorts of different subjects. And there is a series of books. So it makes interesting reading. It comes from a different generation because obviously spiritualism has moved on, but the philosophy and the essence behind it are genuinely from the spirit world.
Everything is from the world of spirits. My knowledge came from the spirit world, and my past predecessors' work comes from the spirit world. Nothing ever comes from your world. And it's all through self-discipline, self-challenging, on whether you believe it's right or wrong to speak out or to know what you're talking about. And I would say 100% if you're loyal, honorable to your God and to your spirits, then you are know that you are telling the truth. This is never going to be an easy run for anybody. There will always be little hiccups. as there were in my life. And you will have a many disbeliever that will not believe in what you say or what you do. But then I always say, don't get upset, don't get harassed about situations that are non-important. They are important to you, if not to others. But what you do say to others is sharing information they know nothing about, but it helps them think, because no one can walk away saying what a load of rubbish. As you walk away and they think and they rethink. But I always agree, I still agree today, that the older books were the finest books ever written. Today's literature or today's philosophy can or cannot be ignored, because in my eyes, my opinion is the philosophy is far greater in my day than it ever will be in your day. There are too many people in your world that always want to refer, I wrote, and how wrong they are. It is the spirit world that writes by putting the thoughts in your head. And this is something else that needs to be expressed to others. You can never say, I saw, I told, I thought, because it is all untrue. Now, what is your opinion of the spirit world, madam?
I totally agree with you, sir. My opinion of the spirit world is it's the most wonderful place to be.
So if it's that wonderful, then madam, why aren't you over here with us and why are you still in your world?
Because apparently you don't want me because I'd be a nuisance.
Well, you said that, I didn't.
I have been told on many occasions.
Because there is much to learn by all of you, not just by yourself, by all of you. Sometimes the lessons can be extremely hard and very disciplined, but it also makes your backbone very stronger into recognizing the truth from the non-truth. And the truth is better to be told than to tell a lie. I've often found that if you tell one lie, you have to cover up by telling another and another, and therefore you hang yourself. Whereby telling the truth, you only have to tell it once. And once is one enough. Agree?
Definitely.
So each one of you are spiritual, I take it, in some way or one way or another. And
yes.
all of you have even lost people in your lives that were a valuable asset to you in life. But you must ask yourself in life now, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you forgiving? Are you mad? Or believing in the afterlife? Well, no, I would say no, you're not, because if you were mad, you wouldn't be on here listening to a spirit person now. Each like-minded person has their own opinions on what they believe to be true and what's not to be true. And there is always and always will be questions down to each person, each individual, to ask the right
Back.
What is that voice?
I apologise, sir. We lost you for a while, but we're back again.
How can you lose a spirit?
Well, the technology of the human world decided to fail.
Well, it isn't very good technology then, is it?
No. We
See,
apologise.
in my day, we associated quality control of spirit by using a Ouija board, which I know is still in your world today. And many people assume that this is the incorrect way to converse with the spirits. But is it, you ask yourself, is it? Because you all seem to judge something on a bad note because it was once written by someone that had misfortunes with a board. But if any of you actually listen to the words of a little black girl spirit called Patience Worth, who conversed poetry through a Ouija board session by two Victorian ladies. Now, I'm sure with your modern technology, you can look up Patience Worth's poetry. And from what I know, she published many, many books. So, again, it takes me back to the book writing of the past being the best. But the book writing of the present day is very low standard, very low par. Would you not agree?
Definitely.
So it is important, for each to keep a standard and a link going up and up and not going down and down. Because once you hit the ground, there is no retrieve, there is no reprieve, there is nothing. And to represent a spiritualist or spiritual people that you are, you must claim to always be who you are, and that's a spiritist or spiritualist, whichever word you use to choose. But without us, where would you be in your world today? In fact, where would any of you be in this world today without the spirit or spiritualists guiding you, teaching you, helping you? And we do help. You may sense, you may feel, you may see us at times, but never be afraid of the spirit. Be more afraid of the living than the spirit, because the spirit can't hurt. But as you full well know, the living people in your world can. Is this still making sense?
Yes.
Of mine, and hope that I have endured you to understand exactly what I'm saying. But all I ask is that you follow your heart, your true heart in what you do, and the teaching that will be taught or spoken as all of great value and great standard of communication between the living and the deceased. So I will leave that with you, if I may.
You may. Thank you very much for your wise words. I think we're stuck.
He's quite a speaker, isn't he? Hello.
Hello.
Now, you didn't recognise me, did you? Because I came in so quick.
I know. What were you up to today?
Well, I was standing right by the gentleman before he departed, and I thought I'll step in very quickly and say hello to you all.
Hello, Sydney.
So it's so nice. But, listening to what he said, I know he comes from a different time era from where I used to come from. Me, I had to do with see. So there's a different caliber, a different kind of person, a different speech in person as well. Which I think man with posh man.
Oh, he's not a posh man, Sydney. You've just got lovely voice.
So I've just got what?
You're a good heart.
Well, he's a good-hearted person as well. They say never judge a book by the cover.
Definitely.
By the cover, because they don't look in to find out how good you actually really are.
You never know till you
Because they're
face
too
yourself
busy
on.
interfering, being nosy Parkers. Well, I always say now that a nosy Parker is too busy being nosy about someone else instead of judging themselves. And you should never judge. You should judge yourself, yes, because you are the better person. You're not the worst person in life. You're the person you have met. You smile your way through life, accepting everything. You think, oh, how wonderful they are. Oh, how nice they are. But in your mind, you're thinking, you nasty person. How could you say all that? To me, that's gossip mongering. And I don't like gossip mongers. I was always brought up to be careful in what I say to people. Politeness doesn't cost nothing. It's always good to be polite, honourable, and nice to people. Doesn't pay to be horrible at all, because I always find, what goes around comes around. You get your own comeuppance in your own path. And of course, what you do in your world, when you cross over to the spirit world, you have to face everything that you did in the earth world. Did you know that?
Yes, I have heard that.
Well, it's true, because I led a life that was, I'm not going to say it was like white sheets, but they weren't dark sheets like some people's lives are. They've had to suffer the consequences of every nasty or horrid thing that they've done. Well, you can take all the people that murder and kill in your world. People might sob and grieve and say, oh, my poor little soul had gone to heaven. But have they? Are they really in heaven, or have they created their own hell? And some mediums that I've seen over the years that have given such load of old rubbish, and people sit there and say, "Oh, lovely, oh, lovely, oh, lovely, oh, lovely, oh, wonderful, wonderful, all good, all good," and they go away on a great big high where they shouldn't, because the truth is the truth. Don't you think so, dear?
Definitely, Sydney.
Because you see, now me, where I lived in London, and I used to travel to Clapham, which I think I'm Clapham Junction, to do my business and my work out there. And during the war, I'm watching the old doodle bugs fly across the sky, and then they suddenly stop, and you have to run and take hide because you didn't know where they were going to drop. And it was quite a terrifying road to be on, really. In that time of life, you just didn't know from one day to the next if you were going to die, if you were going to wake up, or were you going to see your family again. And if you take the First World War, which was the 1914-18 war, look how many people lost their lives then through the bombs and the people that got killed by the Germans, which I can't say are bad people now because everything is much more easier and calmer. But if you think back to both of the world wars, it wasn't us that started them, it was Germany. And through the treacherous leader of, we can't say his name, but through the treacherous deliverance of a leader that they had, led to many, many people being massacred. Does that make sense?
Definitely, Sydney.
And you see, massacring other people's persons, let's say, whether they were Jewish, Catholic, or whatever, you do not murder, you do not deceive anybody or kill anybody unless it's absolutely necessary. But then, as I say, it's absolutely necessary. It's not necessary at all to kill the person. Because I believe now that as I look and I observe your world more and more, it saddens me to think that your world is not like my world used to be. Even though I wouldn't want to return back to World War Two, World War One. Well, I was only a very tiny little person then. But World War Two, I remember so well in my little house, which I shared with my sister Enid until she passed to the spirit world first. But we didn't have nothing special, just a comfortable little house that we sat in. That I used to sit in my chair with my cup and saucer, with my cup of tea, And we had a few little biscuits, or my sister Enid will make some cakes, which were quite nice and rewarding. Certainly not like your cakes you have today. I know you have glorifying cakes these days, which I think I would have ended up rather with a bit of a polka if I'd eaten all the cakes that you've got in your world today, so I wouldn't be able to move. But then there's a starvation that you had to go through in your world in the Second World War as well. Rationing was on, and you could only get what you could only get. So it was very hard, you know. And you know, some people don't appreciate, or they choose not to remember those days where everyone should remember and commemorate those that put their lives in the front line to save your life, because they did, you know. I mean, if you sometimes think of your parents or your grandparents, all of you, this includes, saved your life or saved your mummy's life so you could be born into the world that you're in now. Without them, where would you be? So this, you know, and, you know, some families are good and some are not so good, and some are so horrid and nasty. So, you know, there's always going to be a difference of opinion where families are concerned. Because some you can see, some you can't, some you'll agree, and some you can't. So there's never going to be a peaceful, loving existence, not as there is or was back in my day. Because everything was more freer then. We might have bricks in the road and bombs going off and soldiers walking up and down the road, and even the American army when they came over to Britain. And the rations book and all the little Jezebels are out there trying to get what they wanted for free, of course. But I never played no part in that, which I wouldn't anyway. But, you know, from those days to your days, it's just changed so much. But is it for the better or is it for the worse? And this is what we must ask ourselves. And if it is for the worse, then it's best that we try not to judge too hard on others. We have to sympathise and feel sorry for the people that are making these decisions. Because, you know, even as I see and I hear what goes on in your world, there is a lot of greediness. And greediness is always paid back in unkindness. And not by just people, but by politicians, and everyone's out to rule the world, everyone's out to rule the kingdom, everyone's out to rule the people. And why can't the people rule themselves? Because it's you that answers to you at the end of the day, don't you think so?
Definitely.
And you know, and I'm sure all of you always say the Lord's Prayer, as we do in the spirit world still. We still say the prayers to our great God and Jesus and everybody else. But I've often found out, you know, that even representing our God and Jesus, that each nationality in your world is either made of green, brown, orange, pink, or whatever. And it's just so wrong because Jesus is Jesus. He's not black, he's not white, he's not Asian, he's Jesus, the man of God, the Son of God. And that is so important, even though we never see him that often, but when we do get glorified and look at him, which we occasionally do, we do often hear his talks and his speeches. And they're always held in what would you call it? It's like a group of nations in a massive giant hall where you could actually appreciate, you know, the thousands of spirit people that get into a hall the size that we have in the spirit world, where 1,000 human beings would actually, you'd all be crushed. But, you know, in our halls of learning, in our halls of wisdom, in our halls of freedom of speech and everything, is everyone to themselves. We all mix together with love and not hatred, but we still talk. Now, how do you know, Judith, do you know how we all speak in the spirit world?
Am I right in thinking, Sydney, that it's the power of thought?
Well, that is right, dear. It is the power of telepathy. It's a long word for me to know, but I've had to learn. But it is telepathy, it's mind over mind. That's why when I come through, or when spirit comes through to this world and talk through a trance medium, then they actually get to hear what I really sound like. Because otherwise I'd be sitting here trying to transmit thoughts into your head, and you're thinking, who the dickens is this? And you wouldn't know whether I was a man or a woman. But hopefully I am a man, because I'm not a woman. If I was, I'm a very strange one.
Bless you.
But there's a lot to learn about the spirit world. And I think, you know, the more you learn. Now, have you heard of, what's her name now? Let me see. Oh, God. Oh, dear. I should say, oh, God. Oh. Minnie Harrison, for instance.
Oh, yes, Minnie Harrison, bless her.
Oh, such a lovely woman. She's such a lovely woman. And also Helen Duncan as well.
Yes.
And Sidney Green, I do believe his name was, I think. But they were all very good mediums that worked with people in your world now, because they had the ability once to make spirit people appear out of a cabinet. So I'm sure there's people in your world, even in this day and age, that are learning the same procedure, or they do the same procedure. Not as good as the old days, of course, because that was far better. But it's all to do with learning. And the more you learn, the more you understand. Do you not agree?
Definitely.
You know, it's like cows and dogs and horses and all those lovely little sheep and lambs, you know, that you all have for your Sunday roast dinner. And I'm going to say the same because I have roast chicken. You think, you know, the slaughtering of all those poor animals, but their soul still comes over to our world. And, you know, we can still converse and have a chat with a chicken. I know it sounds silly, but we can converse with a chicken, a duck, a horse, a cow, because it's all done with the power of thought. So I don't know if you have any mediums in your world that can actually converse with animals.
There
If
are
you
some,
don't,
Sydney. There are some that claim that they can converse with animals,
but
horses,
you
dogs,
just said
cats.
the word, dear, they claim, but have you actually seen them?
I haven't seen one personally.
No, well, that is where claim comes in. You have to claim to have seen them. Otherwise, where's the proof? I mean, it's nice that we all get messages from the afterlife and we get messages from our families that are in the spirit world. But what about our pets? And I'm sure most of you have all had pets in your life, and most of you have often thought about your pets. So why is it when you see a medium that they never give you any of these pets? Or they might say, oh, I see a doggy with you, I see a pussycat with you, and they're telling me to say this, but they don't. And, you know, sometimes, you know, even with animals in the spirit world, there's a little bit of hurt with those animals as well, because they're only mentioned as a dog and a cat or a goldfish. Not saying, oh, your dog says hello, your dog says, because people in your world would laugh. They say, well, he never spoke when he was alive. Well, how can a doggy speak in your world apart from barking? It is so important that animals have the right to speak. And mediums of your world should actually pass on messages of what your animal used to do. Whether it is a parrot, a goldfish, or the local cat, or the local dog. So you can understand why a lot of your animals in your world are, let us say, savage, like the tiger or the lion. They have to kill, but they're growling. What do they say when they growl? Or the snake. I always call them hissing Sid. Really like myself, really.
Oh, bless you.
But, you know, think of the animal kingdom as well, because they are just as important as the spirit world. Don't you agree?
Definitely, Sydney.
So, and I'm sure all of you have had animals, and all of you have lost animals, and most of you probably always got photos of your animals as well. But that includes human beings as well, because some people always regard human beings as animals, which, in my way, that's your choice. So, have I made sense?
You always make sense, Sydney.
Well, I like to make sense because I don't want to come along and speak a load of old gobbledygook. So we have a young man with us tonight, don't we?
We do. We've got a young man called Jake. I don't think you've met him before.
Has he enjoyed it, do you think?
1 second. Yeah, he's nodding to say yes.
Oh, he is. Oh, that's good to hear. Well, what I'm going to do now, because I know there's 2 more other people that wish to come through. So what we'll do is we will give the medium a little 10-minute break so that he can actually rest for 10 minutes, because it's very hard work doing this. It's not as easy as you think it is. And, you know, I totally agree. I think it was Miss Moira that said earlier on, or one of you said earlier on, about people only wanting messages. They don't want to know about the philosophy. They're only interested in the messages. But I would say tell them to read the magazines and the papers because they're full of gobbledygook there in their horoscopes. But they're not true. They can apply to thousands and millions of other people. But the philosophy of the spirit is important. It is just as important as a message. And who's to say you won't get a message tonight? You may not. I don't know. Because I never know who's going to speak and who's not going to speak. But I will bid you farewell for now. And I won't be back anymore because I will let 2 more other people come in because they're eagerly pulling on my jacket to get me off the box as such.
Thank you. Bless you, Sydney.
Bless you, dear, and bless all of you that are watching. I hope I've helped you in learning something. And from Arthur as well, because he's a nice old boy, really. A bit gruffy, but he's a nice old person. But as I say, old. We're all young, really, but we have to come back as we once were when we were alive in this world. Otherwise, if he comes back sounding young, you will know who the dickens he was.
Yes.
So I will bid you farewell.
Bid you
And
farewell,
I'll speak
darling.
to you soon.
Take
Take care of yourself. God bless you all.
God bless you. So Alan's going to come back now and I'm going to switch the recording off